On this episode, we talk about finding balance between life and technology with someone who has to navigate it every single day. My guest is Jordan, owner of the cybersecurity company Mayday, and who, like our mutual friend Tyler, loves to get out in the world to see what he can find. Not satisfied working for someone else, Jordan started Mayday, but quickly realized without balance, every part of his health would suffer. And that realization eventually led him to live in a van in New Zealand, an experience that would permanently reshape his perspective on what matters and how to use technology as a tool to enhance life. We also talk about his time playing college tennis, but I'm more interested in the parties. Let's jump in.
You know what I'm really impressed with is that
What are you impressed with, Scotty?
So our mutual friend is Tyler.
Right. Which you can't predict what those boys from Butler County are gonna freaking do.
Our mutual friend is Tyler, right? And Tyler was like my 10th guest.
Nice.
Or
Okay.
like 13th. It was low.
Got you.
Hey, it was so low that the camera didn't work. It was like audio only. Nobody got to see it. He had beautiful long hair at that time.
Yeah, there you go.
Nobody got to see it, right?
Yeah.
And Tyler's the one that recommended us to do this,
Sure did.
right? And I can't believe after his experience, because I would hope that you're getting a way better experience today than he did. You know what I'm saying?
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I deserve it more than he does.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, really quickly, because I just want to know, how do you know Tyler?
So I met Tyler through a mutual buddy, and we went to Bonnaroo together. So yeah,
Sounds right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then it's kind of crazy because how I met that buddy was also kind of nuts too, because I was going to grad school at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, and Obama was visiting. And so in order to walk onto campus, you have to cross this one street. And when presidents coming in and out, they're shutting down that street for 45 minutes, 20 on the front end, 20 on the back end, and they're going to have their motorcade coming through or whatever. So I'm sitting here at this light, and then this dude just like pulls up on this like mountain bike, these like thick tires, wearing this like stupid ass helmet, he's, he's like, what's going on, bro? And I was like, Obama, man, and so then we just kind of got talking. He became a close friend of mine, and then he went to high school with Tyler in Butler, PA. And yeah, then met Tyler at Bonnaroo, and kind of rest is history. And now he's like one of my closest friends.
That's cool, man.
Which is wild.
Well, I mean,
I love it when things happen like that, though. It's like,
does that happen? You know what I'm saying? Like when you open yourself up to the possibility of like meeting friends or doing that like great things happen. Does that make sense?
I can tell at my, like in certain stages of my life when you're kind of operating at that frequency, because like you're starting to see some of that, and you're open to life, and you're not like strangleholding it, And then in other like times when you're like, okay, that's not happening as much, you're kind of like looking at, okay, how am I operating, right? Like, what am I kind of giving out or whatever? So yeah, I definitely believe, definitely believe that.
Is that how you got into cybersecurity? How'd you get into? Is that what? Okay.
Yeah.
What is the title of what you do, and is that how you got into it?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so I own a cybersecurity and also another automations company. But yeah, for the cybersecurity side, it's called Mayday, and it's like my baby, dude. My last name is Mayer, and it's just kind of a little combination of whatever. And, Mayday, help is on the way. And so we're a managed service provider for cybersecurity services, right? So if you're a company and you want to outsource your cybersecurity function, whatever that may be, you would come to us.
Okay, so how do you get to doing something like that?
Bro, it's actually nuts, like how that even got going. Because
Tell me.
so like this was 2014, 2015, right? So this is 10 years back. So I've been doing this for 10 years. And dude, I was accounting and finance in undergrad. And really all that I knew about like IP addresses, servers was I used to set up my own Call of Duty server back in the day. And, I'd run that for like my friends and stuff like that. And basically, I was doing the whole like accounting and finance, did a couple internships with like Deloitte, and I was like, screw this. This ain't it. And there was this kind of thing that was shown in my MIS class, which is like management of information systems. And it was like Heinz Summer Fellowship Program at Carnegie Mellon. And like, if you apply, you basically get a stipend and you get to go live on campus and you get to take 2 grad school classes and you get to do a summer research project with one of the professors, right? And I took a screenshot of it and I was like, oh, okay, like that's kind of interesting. Dude, I didn't think about it for like 30 days and I don't know what happened, but 3 or 4 days before the deadline, I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to apply to it, like whatever. And it's one of these where you have to do a 1-minute video about yourself and, write an essay and kind of do that stuff. But the 1-minute video is like really your chance to like, kind of, not separate yourself, but distinguish yourself a little bit. Right. And so, dude, I went and like, I rented a camcorder from like the university cause I was like still an undergrad and got a tripod. And I was like, okay, crap, like a minute video. Like I need to throw together. I have no idea what I'm going to say, but I need 10 to 15 seconds, 10 to 15, 10-second clips of saying something, 5-10 seconds for transitions and like a little opening or something like that. And so I went around campus and like, I'm just doing this all by myself. And I'm like, go to 3 spots. And like, I must have done 15 takes at each spot because like I would say something kind of like clever. And then I'd go over there and I'd be out of the shot, like whatever. Or like I'd say something and like people are like coming by and they're like, Jordan. And I'm like, okay, well, thanks for screwing, like, ruining my take or whatever. And so like literally I got this all done within like 24 hours. My brother's a graphic designer, so I got him to kind of help me out with some of the like kind of intro, sent it off and then got notified later that I was like, probably 1 in 20 people from around the nation that got into this. And by getting into that, you get a automatic acceptance for grad school within the cybersecurity program and you get a 50% scholarship. And I was like, sweet, that's what I'm doing, and I'm heading up to Pittsburgh and it's kind of weird 10 years later. I mean, that basically getting into that program and just being on campus at Carnegie Mellon, it kind of, it just changed the game for me, and kind of like really tapped into my desire to actually be like an engineer and my kind of love for that, which I didn't really completely understand at the time, kind of until I got to that point. And then, 10 years later and it's like, okay, like now we've got like a cybersecurity company and with the whole like AI revolution and different stuff, there's a whole myriad of things that we can talk about there. So, so kind of just looking back, fun journey.
Did you have no direction before that point? Like what was your life like before that point?
So I played college tennis and my mom, she owns and runs a tennis and swim club in San Antonio. So I've been playing since I was 3. My brother was a good player. He played at Purdue. And really just kind of like athletics for me was just always kind of the thing that I was working at and just kind of wanting to like succeed at. And I think for a large part, probably like an identity for a while.
Say more. What do you mean?
Meaning where I think coming up and especially kind of through school and into college, a lot of identity being in like a really good tennis player. It's like, that's just kind of what everyone kind of knew me as, right?
Like Jordan, really good tennis player.
Jordan, really good tennis player, right? Like that would probably be the easiest association.
Scottie, tattooed guy.
Scottie, tattooed guy, just a revolving door of content,
Anyway, go ahead.
Blue shades, right? Yeah. But yeah, so like I think for a while there it was just kind of like, okay, gonna, kind of sticking to the American template, right? It's like, okay, go to high school, use that, go to college, okay, kind of use athletics to get a little bit of a scholarship into college, even though it's still super expensive. And
Places that you play tennis probably competitively are really expensive schools, I would think.
yeah,
right?
this was like a smaller kind of D3 liberal arts school, private. Um, but yeah, like, I mean, coming in, dude, I think I wish I had like had a little bit more courage, I think, then to like go and do something besides like accounting and finance. It was like, I think I just kind of did that because a lot of friends were doing it and they had like a good program or something or whatever. So yeah.
Okay, so like you're identifying as like the tennis player, right? And I feel like there's like a gap, and then when you find this like passion, then you're like, I get not something that speaks that it's truly you, right? Was there like a middle part in there, and what was that like in that transition? Because I feel like a lot of people struggle in the transition of maybe what they think they should be or people told them they should be,
Right.
and then what you actually are. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for me, like once college kind of ended and it's all of a sudden, and like I think a lot of probably athletes have this, and athletes that are a lot better than I was probably have it even more. You know what I'm saying? And especially if you're looking at trying to like go pro afterwards or just whatever. I think once you, and it's a mistake as human beings to do this, once you put your identity into something like that and then you remove it, and you go out into the real world and you're like, okay, that phase of my life is done, and you're putting your identity into that and then it gets removed, yeah, you're going to have some earthquakes that come up through the core pillars because you put your identity into, I guess, kind of something external, right?
Yeah.
Instead of kind of looking inward. So yeah, like, I mean, there was a bit of a struggle, it was like, okay, what is this going to look like? And then for me, I've always really, really enjoyed school for whatever reason. Like I like learning, I like the research component. I'm a good test taker, so I kind of enjoy some of that aspect of it. And Carnegie Mellon was kind of like a way to kind of put some of that drive and ambition that in like working at something. Like I like the process of like practicing something and practicing the same thing, and just I've really kind of discovered that's like a nice secret sauce to life is how do you simplify your life, and can you have the discipline to just keep doing the simple thing, right?
The mundane thing, the thing that just part of life, right?
Just like simple, yeah, I think just like simple practices, and just trying to kind of simplify things in life, but like simple doesn't correlate to easy, right?
True. Yes.
So I think in a lot of ways, kind of like, us as human beings have a lot of difficulty doing the simple thing because our mind starts going in a million different directions.
What if I'm not doing it right? What if that guy thinks I'm not doing it right?
I'm bored.
Yeah, I don't like doing this thing
Yeah,
over and over.
like,
Yeah.
I like, and especially in this age of like overstimulation, our attention span is just down,
It's shit.
It's shit, and it's like, even for people to probably just take time to say what they're meaning and not trying to rush through it, and just having time available to like sit down and like look someone in the eye and have a conversation, so yeah, I don't know. Like, I think you can get like a lot of meaning in life, and over the years, it's just fun because it's like, as I've gotten more in technology, it's actually hit home to me more on, okay, how do we still remain being like human centric, which is kind of especially in this age where everything's going like tech centric. It's like, okay, like that's cool, but like we can't forget about this. So.
Well, okay. So say more about, because your job is in IT, right? I mean, you're living in that online world, right? I would assume on some level, right?
So right, like, so IT is basically like deploying infrastructure and all that kind of stuff. Cybersecurity is like the think about it like the exchange of data through infrastructure, through IT, and looking at like how that's used within an organization and how it's protected.
Okay. Sorry. Hey, thank you.
No worries. No, because it's it's an important distinguish
Yes.
because
Yeah.
because
Like,
a lot of people think like, oh, it's cybersecurity, you're IT, right? Because then this is the thing too. It's like, yeah, but like IT is like the technology around it, and then cybersecurity is this kind of like soiree of like technology, personnel, policies, procedures, and like you're trying to get this kind of system in place that can keep up with the like rapid expansion and all the data and like all this kind of stuff,
bro, I used to have this client named Dave, R.I.P. Dave. He died when he was 91.
Got you.
But he thought the guys at Best Buy were IT guys. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
he just works behind the desk. Dave.
What is
Like,
it, Geek Squad?
Yeah, Geek Squad or whatever. Anyway,
Dude, love those guys, man. Whatever happened to Geek Squad, dude?
well, they probably
They're still around, but yeah, I feel like Best Buy took a hit with like Blockbuster too. I don't know why. I think of those two.
Well, I think so. Back to so what I was really meaning is like there's a lot of your life that you live kind of like working with a computer
sure.
right. And so when we talk about that balance of being with a human being or being with a machine,
Bro, it's tough, man.
right? It's tough, right?
it's
And
challenging.
that's what I really wanted to know. I want to know how you balance that yourself because I think that's just tough for everybody that just has a phone in their hand,
Right.
to find balance. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, for me, my secret was, okay, if I'm gonna work on the computer a lot, I'm gonna do it working remotely. And when I say remotely, I mean like from like a camper van in New Zealand hotspotting on my phone, or I mean from like up in Colorado or from whatever. So I told myself, so I'm 32 now. And I know how fast life can get. I got two older brothers, and I don't know. I just know how fast life can get. So I was like, okay, dang. So I can work remotely and work on a computer, and I can work from anywhere as long as I'm getting my stuff done, right? Okay, so this is my time where I'm going to be selfish, and I'm going to go travel, and I'm going to go.
Is that selfish?
I think too. By definition, I was only prioritized about what I wanted to do.
Did you have anybody else that you were? Well, I mean, then, bro,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
call that like that's self-service, right?
It's there's a bit of self-service there to it because like I said, I want a family, I want kids and all that kind of stuff. And once you get there,
You got time.
it ain't about it ain't about what you want anymore, right? And there's a lot of joy in that. And like, you want to be. I think you get the most amount of joy when you are in service to others. Like, I really believe that. But I also was like, oh, okay, I want to go check out some places. I want to go check out the world. And this is my way to do that, where if I'm going to work on the computer, I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be in other cultures. I'm going to be out in the woods. I'm going to be out, exploring, and being able to do that, not within some like confined, no window office.
Was that? I want to take a guess. Was that life-changing?
Yeah.
I mean, like just hearing it because I was feeling like there's probably people that do that, but then they say they're going to go out and experience culture. They say they're going to get out of the van, but they never really get out of the van. They never really go meet anybody. They never make experiences and all that kind of stuff, right? So they never have the full experience of what you did of being alone, but with everyone at the same time, everybody at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was very life-changing because my first kind of taste of it was, dude, I was working this like corporate cybersecurity job. It was basically for all of our Texas people out there. It was like the HEB, but for Pennsylvania and some of Ohio. It's called Giant Eagle. And, I'm like going into a cubicle over there, 5 days a week, paying me well, matching me 7.5%, sitting next to, Ken, who's been doing this for 25 years. He drives a sick ass Mercedes, and And, and nothing wrong with that, nothing wrong with that at all. But I only made that a year, and I'm sitting there in the cold in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm rocking cybersecurity for Giant Eagle. And I'm like, yeah, this ain't it, And this is one thing where I've noticed this about myself and where I'm pretty proud of this is like, if there's something like, I've always been willing to give up the sure thing that's probably not the best thing for me long term in order to kind of take the probably more riskier approach. But I know that's gonna kind of bring a little bit more just kind of like life into life.
You're betting on you.
Betting on me. Like I've always been pretty good about that. And yeah, and I mean, thank God I did, because I basically, like I said, I kind of quit that job. It's kind of, bartending and driving Uber for 6 months and just kind of figuring it out. I was so happy doing that. Like I had so much fun bartending 3 nights a week, driving Uber and being able to kind of work when I wanted, except for the like shifts bartending, and just figuring it out, and not doing something where I'm just going in and getting like a salary and whatever, and you're interacting with people on a daily basis. And so, yeah, that was a really fun time. And then right after that, I had applied I was trying to get over to Australia actually before. And I applied for a visa, to Australia and they were all good, but I wasn't really committing, like I was trying to like message people and get a job over there before I went and trying to do the whole thing. That kind of fell off. I think, another 6 or 7 months went by and I had applied for a visa to New Zealand too. And that one came through as well. I was like, okay, well now I don't have a job right now or anything. So screw this. I'm just going to go over there. Like that's the only way. It's just, you just got to go over there and I'll figure out the rest whenever we go over there. And yeah, I did that. And it was pretty amazing.
Okay.
Pretty amazing.
Okay. So when did you start your company?
So I started Mayday. We're about a year and like 7 months old. So right at the beginning of last summer.
Okay. I feel like there's so many similarities between you and Tyler's story and how he got to Paisa, right? You know what I mean? And I think both of those stories, there's a really strong thing of like, again, like betting on yourself. I get that same vibe, right? Of like betting on yourself. So where did that come from? Where did you learn to bet on yourself?
Yeah. So my mom's a small business owner.
Okay. That helps.
Totally.
Cause you grow up in it then, right?
Yeah. And then her entire kind of side of the family's got a little bit of bite, you know what I'm saying? As far as the competitive, but, oh, you think I can't do something? Watch this kind of thing. And yeah, just like really, really kind of driven and know how to work hard towards something. And, so I would say like, probably that's where a lot of that comes from. And then my dad was in the military too. So, really disciplined guy, knew how to go kind of pursue, how he always felt that he could have kind of the best impact. And that's kind of changed throughout his life too. So, so just kind of this combination of, I think kind of both of those influences and those kinds of, sides of the family. Cause I really do believe that like, it's interesting to like think about or meditate, like, who you are, like absent of your constructs or like your concerns, because everyone, has constructs as you come up through this world, people that you're around, influences, region where you grew up, all that kind of stuff. So it is always kind of interesting to like look at some of that. And then, so to kind of bring that full circle, then it was like going over to New Zealand and you're just open to such like a new way of thinking about things and so many different cultures, so many different ways of thinking about things and just seeing that. And then you're going, oh, wait, okay. So like a boy raised in kind of South Texas, like Presbyterian, right? Like all this kind of stuff. Oh, wait, like there's a lot more out there than that. And like, oh, that actually influenced a lot of how I perceive the world and different stuff. And so when you first hit that like realization that,
Tell me about some of them. What were some of the things that you were like that really changed you?
yeah, there was like just like meeting a group from France, for example, and seeing how the French like, interact and have meals, and there's a sense of community. And honestly, there's like, it's just a sense of community too, which I think propagated like, there was a lot of Brits that travel over there, South Africa. You have a lot of people coming from Asia too. And so just being able to kind of see some of the different ways that like how people interact with friends and spend time during the week, it's, I really picked up on kind of like a more simple community driven, surrounded by good food, good drink, and just, I don't know, just this kind of like, there was just like in less of a rush,
Well, you realize how divided we are here, how
Right.
separate we are here,
Right.
how much we actually aren't community here,
Right.
right? Like, like it's not a big thing for like a group of maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 people to just like always kind of go out together, right? And here it's like you go out with like 2 of your friends,
Right.
or you might go to dinner with one friend,
Right.
or whatever. It's never like, hey, let's get the group. There's a
Right.
group, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that sense of community is just kind of lost on us here.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff that makes it like that though here. Just the simple fact that like we're a giant, like go to China, you probably run into Chinese people. You go to New Zealand, you're going to run into people in New Zealand. If you come to America, you're running into everybody.
Right.
Right. So it's kind of where so that's why you have to work harder. Right.
Right.
So cool that you brought that back. Cause I'm sure you brought that back into your life in general. Right.
For sure. Yeah. And like definitely tried to, one thing I will say about, because there's always like sacrifices to choices, right?
Sure.
There's always like an opportunity cost no matter what. So for me, like whenever I got back from New Zealand, I was like traveling around so much, like, it was very nomadic, right? And so it's also hard to kind of build some grounding relationships when you're moving around that much, right? And so I think that was definitely one learning point for me, was like going around and seeing this, how people kind of lived in this very community driven kind of way. But then you're kind of moving around so much that you're trying to find community with just like human beings, right? You're like now thinking of like, okay, my community is just like another human being that I'm meeting along the travels and different stuff like that.
It's moments.
It's moments, right? Yeah. It's just
It's these brief moments
right.
that probably if you get too far ahead of yourself, you go, okay, like maybe we're going to be friends,
Right.
and then you never see them again.
Right.
Right. And you should have been like, I just want to enjoy this moment right now, this experience I'm having right now. And some of them are like person on a train.
Right.
And then someone is like, you're sitting next to a bar and the guy tells you his whole life story kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. But like we're analyzing while we're experiencing it, and you really just don't experience it.
Right. Yeah. And coming back to how a simple life can be really meaningful, right? But simple doesn't equate to easy, because you're exactly right. Like, what's one of the hardest things for us to do? And it's to constantly be present, right?
Show up for yourself. You have to constantly show up for yourself.
Yeah. And how hard is that, right?
It's fucking hard, bro.
Yeah. And it takes like a lot of, and that's one thing too that has really opened my eyes over the past couple of years, is like, like your mind is a muscle that needs to, that needs practice in order to calm it down. It's like the mind is a source of all confusion, right? Like the mind's powerful. So it's like, give it that due, but also be like, I know that you can take me into some directions where that doesn't actually make me,
Well, for me, it's like, if you think about your brain always being on,
Yeah.
don't you think sometimes you should turn it off?
Right.
I mean, you wouldn't leave anything on all the time, right?
Right.
You want to like give it a break, right? And we're so used to just being on, we don't know what it's even like to turn off, to like just, let your mind go like that, It's incredibly hard.
Yeah. Well, at first it's like, at first it's really scary too, because you're like, oh, I actually have to confront some of like my suffering, and I have to actually kind of be alone with some of my thoughts and figure out a way to kind of deal with that, like that's terrifying. Right. But then there's like a real, there's like a lot of healing, I think, that can come from that. And it's like the visual I kind of think of too. And there's this guy, out of like, or was out of like Plum Village. His name was Thich Nhat Hanh. And he's like a Zen Buddhist monk or whatever. But the way he like described it was, like if you think of like a glass with like a bunch of orange juice and pulp, and when you like shake it up, right, it's all, how many times do you just let that cup sit there and all the pulp just comes down and just centers and grounds, It's like, damn, like, do we do that daily, even for 10 minutes, right? Or are we just constantly in this boom, next thing, and just going, and not figuring out how to take some time and sit, and sit and enjoy and do something simple, which is sitting down and breathing or, whatever it is, right? It's like, how many people do that for 5 minutes in a meditation? And we all do this. It's like, you're thinking a million different ways, it's, it takes some practice, but I think, definitely kind of later in my life and after some of the travels and stuff like that, I found that to be really, really healing for me as kind of like a daily practice. So.
Are you familiar with the book Walden?
Okay.
It's a tough read, let me tell you.
Okay.
But I'll give you the
Tell me a little bit about this book though.
Okay, so I've talked about it before. This guy, he went out to this lake and did nothing for 2 years. He worked enough to make money to get food.
Yeah.
And other than that, he did nothing besides, like, I guess, write, apparently. Anyways, and so he has this line in the book. I'm going to butcher it, but it's something like this where he says, the sun rose and the sun set, and not a meaningful thing happened all day, and like that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? And I was just like,
beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, right? I'm probably really butchering it, but that's the concept, right? Anyways, and so, but I think about that is how often in a day can I just make space for something like that, just
right.
to do nothing, even if it's for like 10 seconds,
right?
Like, because if you accumulate that over a day, if every time you think about it, you just do 10 seconds, just sit there for just 10 seconds to do nothing.
Yep.
It adds up.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
I think it's a great approach.
Yeah, but like, everybody's got to make it a big deal. And I don't want to get off on some meditation.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now mindfulness is like sexy, What I'm saying?
Yeah. And so like, and I hate,
oh, come on,
but I do think, look, I read a lot of books, and one of the books I read, this is coming from this dude. He's like, look, don't be talking about meditation. Just be about it. Don't just talk about it, be about it. Right. But I think there is some level to spreading like a message of like that just doing it is what you're supposed to do. Like, that's all. That's just do it. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's all you have to do. It doesn't have to mean anything.
Right.
And if it means something, that means you're judging it. So don't do that either.
Yeah, exactly.
That's doing something. Don't do nothing. Right.
Right.
And that is extremely hard.
Right.
But imagine how much better you will be if you could do this extremely hard thing. Right. I had this. I'm in this comedy class or whatever. I'm in this comedy class.
Comedy class? Like, you doing like a lot of improv too?
Why not? Like, shout out to Dan. Dan, he's a comedy coach, and he has a free class on Sundays from 3 to 5 at Creek in the Cave. Anyways.
Let's go.
Okay. So we did this exercise with this. I'm sure it's some actor exercise where he's like, find a partner, grab their hands, and just stare at them in the eyes without saying anything for 1 minute. And when he said that, I just went all in. I mean, I grabbed some dude, and I held his hands like tight, and I just looked at him in the face, with, just like as blank as I possibly could. And then that was the whole exercise, right? But in a crazy way, I was incredibly present in that moment. Like, it brought me way, and then I felt no embarrassment or no shame or no judgment about what I was doing, because it was what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The thought is that like, oh, you're not supposed to be doing that. You know what I mean? Or like, this is weird. Just don't just do it. Like, and that's meditation. Anyways, that was a horrible sell for meditation.
Dude, I mean, I think it's great. I took this improv class.
Mm-hmm.
This was back like 2017-ish or whatever. But, and like a lot of comedy is like kind of based around
real life.
real life,
shit. Yeah.
but like improv and just like, saying yes and taking something and just taking a bit and really pulling on the string with it, and seeing where it can kind of go. And I don't know, like the kind of improv and like being on stage and just learning how to like actually listen to what someone else is saying and not trying to create your own idea of like, it's like how many times do people sit in a conversation and didn't really hear anything that you said or heard the first part
because they're running their lines.
Because it's like, oh, I know what I'm going to say next.
They're like, I'm gonna tell this move.
Exactly what's up. It's like, oh, I got the, oh, I know.
He was out late last night. I'm gonna let him know.
Yeah. And so some of those kind of like some of those practices like that, like the improv, the comedy, all that kind of stuff are great like teachers for like actually how to just like listen to another person.
It's made me more. It's really made me more comfortable with myself. When you move way out of your comfort, imagine that you move out of your comfort zone, you get more comfortable. Like that because it grows. I mean, so then you have to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing, and fine. In time, you do. There's been a few times, man, where it's like, think about it as like this idea, like stretching. Like when you really stretch, like you're right, like it's uncomfortable, and it can be like, and dude, there's been some times where you can actually stretch too far a little bit, and you're like, damn, I need to really, and then when you come back, right, something that stretched becomes stronger, right? But what's like a period for you, like where I kind of told you mine. What's like a period for you where you've been in a real season of stretching? All right, you're going to save that for Ask Scottie.
It comes. Oh, okay, that's a good.
It comes out before comes out before this one. I'm asking the question. I'm just kidding. Usually, I'm totally open to asking questions.
Flip the script on you.
Yeah, but you see, but like here's the thing. Like you do a podcast, so I know you're over there itching to ask questions. But hold on, we got.
Hey, no.
We got a little bit more time.
I told him.
Okay, what I want to know is how hard do college tennis players party?
Extremely hard.
Yeah, that's okay. So tell me about college tennis player parties.
Okay.
In this university, where'd you go to school?
Trinity University.
Okay. Is Trinity
the Tigers?
Okay. Is it known as a party school?
It's like a smaller liberal arts school. It's like 2,500 kids.
Okay.
So probably historically not compared to like a University of Texas at Austin or like a Texas State.
All right. So
definitely not.
So go on, proceed.
Well, it's like, I guess let me just start with, like, my high school was bigger than my like undergrad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because like I went to like so I'm from San Antonio. So I went
How many people in your high school?
3,000.
Okay.
And then at Trinity, it was like 2,500. So for me, it's very much like a kind of like your like private school, like, everyone's business and everyone's like super close.
It's like a small high school.
It's like a small, and like, so you're partying. And so there's just, it's a little bit different than probably coming to like some big D1 school where you can go to a party and if you don't exchange numbers, you'll like never see that person on campus like ever again.
Okay. So did y'all all party together? Like did all the sports party together?
Yeah. Well, and like, it was so small that like you had like Greek life too, right? So I was like in a fraternity, but there were a bunch, like, because it's a smaller school, like their fraternities were like local, specific to the school, which is kind of cool, because like you'd have, and the dues weren't nearly as expensive or whatever. So there's a little bit more people. You get the
experience, but it's not on this grander scale.
Yeah, but then every sport kind of was their own little thing too. So like you would have like, tennis parties, you would have baseball parties, you would have, like soccer party, whatever, right? And you could much more kind of like, I don't know. It was just fun at a smaller school, kind of being involved with that. But dude, if we had a big win, we were like going to, junior or senior's place that was on the team, and we're getting a couple kegs, and it's like, let's have some fun, like let's do it.
And it's just like the male tennis team and the female tennis team are partying together, or who's at the party?
Yeah, like they would definitely be. Yeah, I mean, kind of like,
and then people are inviting girlfriends and friends and things like that.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I remember we had one where, so Trinity actually has this like, back from like the 60s to like the late 80s, they were as dominant of a like D1 powerhouse in
Really?
college athletics that you could imagine, which is kind of crazy. They were winning everything. John McEnroe lost his only collegiate loss on the Trinity courts.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, dude, this was back, like, I think the 60s or 70s. There's this guy, Chuck McKinley, and I think it was like Larry Gottfried, the two or whatever. But, dude, they won Wimbledon around the time when they were, like, either playing at Trinity or, like, whatever. Like, they were, like, seniors playing on the Trinity tennis team, and, like, he won, like, Wimbledon. You know? And you're like, okay, like, that's rigged. Like, you
Those
can't
guys
do
sound
that.
like detectives.
That's not allowed. Yeah, that's not allowed. Like, you can't do that, you know? But so point being is like they have these beautiful tennis courts over there. And so we'd have big home matches, and we had someone that had a truck. And I remember because we would bribe all of our friends to come to the tennis match and be rowdy, because tennis isn't historically like a very like
What are you bribing them with? The
a
party?
keg in the truck off the thing. And we'd be like, dude, like we got a whole bunch of cups for you guys. There's a keg over there. We can't bring it like it was because it was technically like the tennis courts are right on the edge of campus. So we park it just in that neighborhood across the way. It's not on campus, right? And they go get a whole bunch of cups or whatever. And it's like, all right, guys, like it's over there. And,
Okay, so let me get this straight. Okay. So y'all would place a keg on the other side of the street so it is not on school property.
right.
And you would tell your friends, hey, there's free beer if you come cheer at the game.
Correct.
So you would get them drunk,
Correct.
and then they would come cheer at the tennis.
Yeah.
What are those tennis games like?
Bro, they're pretty
They're
pretty
like
fun.
They're like Mexican soccer games. Like
Yeah.
they're like probably out of control.
Well, like a lot of people when they think of tennis, like because it's a very individual sport, right? You like watch the US Open and it's like Federer versus Nadal, and it's Federer, basically against the world, right? Or whoever the player is. In college tennis, it's not that way at all. It's a team sport. So there's 9 point in a dual match. So your, Chicks University or whatever your shirt says. There you go.
My Bo Jackson jersey.
Your Bo Jackson Chicks, University. And then if we're Trinity, right, and our schools are playing one another. So you would take your top 3 doubles teams. So 2 players playing against 2, right? Top 3 versus their top 3. That used to be like 3 points. At least in D3, it was 3 points. And then you would have a little break, regroup as a team, and you play all the doubles at once. And then you would come out afterwards and you would go, okay, our top 6 singles players against your top 6 singles players. And they all go on at the same time. So there's 9 points. If you win the match, you get a point. 9 points total. First team to get 5 wins. So, dog, there'd be some times where, like, we'd go out and be 2-1 after singles, and singles is real energetic, and a lot of people love watching it. Points are shorter. People are moving around. It's fun. But, like, a dual match could go on for 4 hours, 4.5 hours, right? And then all of a sudden, just because you have the number one guy that's maybe, like, your top guy is, like, one of the tops and he never loses, well, it's still just 1 point. Your number 6 guy is also just 1 point. So there'll be some times where, crap, like it's 4-4 or it's 3-4, and there's 2 matches out there, and it's our number 4 and our number 6 singles guy. Okay, number 4 lost. Okay, crap, it's 4-all, and it's coming down to the number 6 guy to pull this out, and you have all crowd concentrated on this one match. You have, the opponent's fans are in the back talking shit, trying to get in the head. We got us doing that, it's like he ain't ready for it, right? Like, you're just trying to see.
It feels like a scene out of Happy Gilmore,
bro. It's like a mind warfare. You're just out there just trying to break the straw and just get this guy to crater. But you can't worry too much about that if you're on the other side, because you need to keep it together too.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty fun environment. It's a lot more fun if you have a keg.
Yeah, a lot more.
This final segment is brought to you by HeyJustBe.com. I believe that achieving balance in the mental, physical, and metaphysical aspects of your purpose through learning, serving, and creating can transform your life into one you truly enjoy living. Want to learn more? visit www.heyjustbe.com.
So how I wrap this shindig up is I ask people what do they do to just be the best versions of themselves so they can be good for everybody else. And I have Jordan do something special for me. So we kind of talked a little bit about like why he kind of made the change, but I wanted to talk about and how he became to balance. But I want to talk about how he balances his tech job with his human world and makes that, good and balanced. So your floor, tell me.
For sure. I'm kind of at like a little bit of a crossroads as far as I consider myself this like technologist, this engineer. I love being able to leverage the latest technology and being able to build stuff. And, I really enjoy that process of it. But I've also realized that a ton of joy can be found by simplifying your life. And what that means on a daily basis is if you're, stressed or you're feeling some kind of emotion, one, like, because that is present, there's also joy and happiness present. And I actually can't have joy, peace, calm without learning to overcome and deal with some of that suffering. So if there's suffering evident, well, just by default, that means joy and happiness are suffering. Okay, smile at that, right? So for me, it's like, how do you reframe kind of your daily mindset to where you're not running away from suffering and different emotions that are coming up with, and you're learning to just kind of sit with that, not run away from it, and really come back to, like we were kind of talking about earlier in the podcast, like, okay, just even 10 seconds of like just sitting down, upright, structured, in some silence, and just kind of breathing. So yeah, like for me, like that's definitely kind of where this comes back to is I don't want to like, and I'm kind of like overlapping between like kind of spiritual and like, and technology. Cause for me, they're both kind of intertwined because
At this point, there is no one without the other.
yeah, exactly.
Like we're in it.
Yeah, we're in it, right?
We're in it.
No, for real. And it's so interesting just because like I don't want to build tech and I don't want to do work that causes people to become more addicted to it and is missing out on what's available and that's taking away from the present moment, right? Like that's not my joy isn't trying to get people hooked on like Instagram ads or like, like I don't want people to do, but my curiosity as an engineer and building stuff that's cool, and you can build stuff that pushes, some pretty important initiatives for this day and age. And, you can use a lot of that, like AI, for example, to start tackling some of these like kind of complex problems. But then the, kind of double-edged sword of it is, well, as you use more, it requires more electricity, it requires more data centers, which actually goes against the environment too, right? So you're like, well, crap, like, okay, so like I'm a technologist but I'm also very aware of what life looks like. And I know that the answer to that isn't by going deeper into technology as well. So yeah, I don't know, like there's a big of a, and it's kind of a pretty interesting age that we're in. And I think a lot of people are trying to kind of figure that out a little bit, right? It's
Well,
like
it's very in front of your face, right?
Right.
It's in front of our faces too, but we're not taking the time that our job doesn't require us to analyze ourselves and what our relationship with it is, right?
Right.
Your job is kind of on this side note is making you look at your life and go, like, how do I create balance around this? And with the rest of us, we're just like, more phone.
Right.
More phone. You know
Right.
what I mean? We're not even like taking stock of anything,
Right.
And that kind of sucks.
Right.
Because you can tell, like, I don't know about you, but you can tell when someone spends a lot of time on the internet or if they just spend a lot of time on their phone.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to talk to you.
Right.
Like, they don't know how to have a conversation. They get upset like you'd get upset if you read something that pissed you off on the internet.
Right.
They're like, dude, like, I'm a human being.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you have that emotion, you need to figure out what that's about.
Right. No, and it's, and coming back to what we were talking about earlier, which is how important community driven living is. And especially into this day and age, you know, a lot of the advancements in technology continue to take you away from that. So in a way, I'm kind of fortunate in that I don't really have like a work self and a personal self, which is why I own my business, right? Like that's the whole idea, is like I didn't want to have some separate like thing like that. But yeah, I kind of forget what I was gonna say. But yeah, basically like it's kind of nice just being able to have like, okay, like I love trying to build, enjoying some stuff, but I'm gonna set up some pretty hard boundaries around that and be very cautious that, you know, as you kind of dive deeper into technology, you really start getting into humans' desire to always want more, to like need more, to kind of get into this very capitalistic kind of driven way where you're just like, okay, like, am I really just going to keep wanting more? Like, guess what's going to happen once I get it? Okay, I'm going to want more and whatever. So the joy comes back to, can you have discipline to do the simple thing and actually get away from technology and prioritize human connection? And so to bring this back full circle with your initial question, which is how do you be yourself, right? And what are like literally some daily strategies that you do? Mine's always trying to get me back to that place of like, I don't have to go that fast. I don't have to move on to the next thing. Sit and be with the thing that I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm not with that, take a moment, right? Take a moment, breathe through it, let it settle, knowing that you don't have to figure it out, but right, like let the pulp settle a little bit. Because if you're feeling that way, you're probably going too fast.
Somebody probably shook you up.
Someone probably shook you up, exactly. So I don't know. Is that? I hope that
Yeah,
answers your
it's
question.
fantastic.
Yeah.
You a book reader or listener?
I listen to podcasts. I go through book phases. I'm historically not like a big book reader, but I'm like a big journaler though.
Okay. Say more about that.
Yeah, it's just kind of another way to like remind me to be simple. Like I've gone through all the phases with this where like note taking was all done on a laptop and I'm just crushing stuff out. And then trying to build a company with entirely AI all from the ground up, where it's like, okay, like everything's going into AI and we're going to have this all automated and you know? And then, you know, it was funny. It was like, I realized like, and I think this is why, you know, there's like a statistic out there, which is like 95% of like AI implementations fail in production on the tech side. And it's because people are they're trying to go like 100% like AI. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that doesn't work. You need the main thing to be human intelligence driving and was supplemented by artificial intelligence. Right? So
in this weird way, I don't know if this is true. You tell me what you think. AI doesn't have a unique perspective of something. The way you see something, the way I see something is totally different. It's different than everybody else. We all have this individual taste that's shaped by like what we do, right? Mm. It's this general shape of taste, but there's no like when a human touches something, making a song or whatever, it's the successes and the failures in the song that make it human and rich, right? And I don't know how to teach AI to fail appropriately. You know, like you were saying something earlier, it made me think, you know, you see all kinds of AI recreation videos, right? But every time I see an AI recreated like fail video, it just doesn't feel quite right. It's just not failing, because I think there's a uniqueness to we were talking about moments. Every single moment that's captured on film where somebody like failed one of those fail videos,
yeah,
you've seen it before, but it's unique unto its own, right? Like you've seen somebody fall down. We ain't seen somebody fall down exactly like that before.
Right.
And so how is AI going to make that decision on how that happens and not repeating it over and over again at some level, you know?
For sure.
That was not a question. That was a rant, by the way.
Yeah. No, but it's an interesting, it's an interesting thing. So, but yeah, so nowadays, man, bringing this back to the old school pen and paper, that's one of the ways that I get away from technology is like, yeah, like I got a ton of stuff to do that's going to require me to be on the computer and build systems and stuff like that. The first 2 hours of my day are not going to be related to that at all. You know, the first 2 hours of my day are going to be like taking the pause, and just kind of like sitting, trying to take some like spiritual time and kind of get into some sort of mindset where you're not already rushing,
Trying to get connected in.
trying to get locked in. And I'm not going to come at this thing where I feel like I need to frantically knock out the next thing on the list, because the list is just going to grow. Like, what are we talking about? And like,
There's always going to be a list.
there's always going to be a list. So, you know, it's just like, okay, so like, let me just get kind of pen and pad out and kind of listen to my stuff, and I'll kind of jot down some notes. I'll just like do little diddles or whatever and just watch, you know, pen and pad go over, and just like, when you're writing, have good handwriting, and just like, don't scribble.
Write with intention.
Right? Yeah. And then what's funny is like, it started getting me to think about, okay, like what's the most direct way for me to get to what I'm thinking? Instead of going like, AI, I'm thinking about this, and it gives me 30,000 different pathways to get there, and each one has its own essay with it. I'm like, no, like, you can't forget how to just think critically yourself and like think about like, what's the most kind of direct way for me to get there. And then it changes my entire day, you know? And now I'm going into the day with a little bit of like a patience, but with also like a purpose, you know? It's like, okay, like I'm not going to rush through stuff, but each thing I do, I'm going to give it my full attention. And it's hysterical because you're actually more efficient that way.
100%.
So you actually get more done on your list than if you had sat there and gone through, but it's just been very natural. And, you know, and you have the freedom to kind of do what you want when you want a little bit, right?
Sure.
Which that's the whole reason why I wanted to start my own thing, is like creative from a vision that I have for myself. But ultimately, like from a creative and work standpoint, I kind of want to do what I want when I want, you know? And if there's you know, if I want to go spend time with some family, or I want to go help my brother move and it's on a Thursday, I don't have to ask my fucking boss to take off for that. I'm going to go be there for my brother, and I'm going to move all the meetings around, and tough. That's how we're going to do that, you know? And yeah, so I just think like for me, like that's the quickest way to, not the quickest way. See, I've already got to kind of be aware, right? Like, but that's kind of one of the more kind of like daily practices.
Well, I think you answered my question, right? I was like, so how do you balance this tech life and your human life, and you make intention in your human life to pencil and pad and be in textile and being with yourself before you have to go do this thing. But most people don't do that first part. They just do the thing, right? So, you know, and that becomes down to the things that are just required that make your life good, right? You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
All right. So we just met, but it seems
like we've been boys forever though. Let's go.
Hey, so I always ask everybody to give me a hug on the way out of here. You down to give me a hug?
Mm-hmm.
You Tyler's friend, of course.
Dude, we're big into the hugs, dude.
He's a hugger.
We're big into
I'm left side only, heart to heart, so you got to do that one there. Hey, thank you so much, bro. Appreciate this. Thank you. Absolutely.
Of course.
All right.